Welcome to the official Clyde FC podcast, and it's Friday night, not so live. Joining me to look back on a first league defeat of the season for the Bully Wee is the voice of the live stream, the South Side Martin Tyler himself, Mr. John Boyce. Welcome, Boycey.
How long did it take you to come up with that Martin Tyler bit?
30 seconds.
Probably too long, I imagine.
Settings honest. If you think that's good, wait for my next bit. And we do have some new blood on the show tonight. Joining us is a man who will likely have tried to upsell you some Clyde merchandise at the shop in the new fan zone. And he's here to give an insight to the different commercial activities at the club. I am, of course, talking about Dougie Dewar. Dougie, how you doing?
Hope that doesn't catch on. Yeah, I'm doing very well, thanks, lads. Delighted to be on and making my long-awaited podcast debut. I'm sure you're at the bottom of the barrel to have me on this evening, but yeah, delighted to be here and making my debut. So thanks for having me.
It's bottom of the barrel to have me hosting it, but we'll until Boise oust me in a coup, it's still me in the hot seat. But absolutely not. Delighted to have you, Dougie. And yeah, we will look to cover off a lot of the good stuff that's going on in the commercial department at the club, and give you a good chance to sell what comes next, the hospitality, etc. as well. But I'm jumping the gun. We do have some football to talk about first, and it was a first league defeat for the club, Dougie, this season. Tight game, just never really got going, did we?
Yeah, it was a difficult one to take because we've had a really strong start to the league campaign. I think the biggest probably takeaway from last week is that a lot of the stuff that was working for us in the early games of the season just didn't fall for us, and we were trying to play that really good possession football on the deck on the counter attack. There was quite a few times where it looked like we just needed that one extra pass to get ourselves in on goal, but just couldn't quite get that working in the final third for us. But hopefully we're going to bounce back again with a win against Edinburgh next week.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the counter-attacking was interesting because that's obviously where we got our goal, but I think we'll probably go on to talk about it a wee bit. But Montrose set up really well and stopped us playing out from the back as well, which stopped us doing what we've been doing, as you've been saying, Dougie. So, yeah, disappointing to get our first loss. But listen, for the entire season, 100% of it, we've been in the playoffs. So let's keep that going.
Yeah, it is a marathon, not a sprint. I think we did say that last week as well when we had Jordan on. It's far from a disastrous defeat, and it certainly wasn't the worst performance ever either, Boise. We kept ourselves in the game, even though Montrose had a fair chunk of the ball. Neil Parry didn't have a massive amount to do, really, did he? I can think of one save just possibly after the second goal, but it wasn't like we were battered by any stretch of the imagination.
No, absolutely not. I think he maybe made a good save down to his left, if I remember correctly, but both goals coming from headers. Montrose continuing their identity, really, is playing down the flanks. They have lost Cammy Ballantyne going to Airdrie, but Andrew Steeves, who I thought for all the game had a quiet game by his standards, but he still managed to influence it a little bit. But yeah, if any were betting men before the game, Rory McAllister to get that first goal when Montrose need to score to open their account in the season. Well, it was always going to happen, wasn't it?
Yeah, Dougie, we'll come to yourself on, we'll break down the goals. Conceded and obviously the one that we did bag ourselves. The first goal, slightly disappointing that perhaps we didn't just close it down a wee bit earlier, just prevent the crosses coming in. John, you mentioned that we do know Montrose's strength over the seasons, very much wing-based play, and they're brilliant at it. This cross did come in from a wee bit deeper out, very good cross, and Rory McAllister does what he's been doing since a very long time.
Yeah, I think that's probably the thing that Danny will be disappointed with, is the manner of the goals that we lost. As you said at the top of the show, there wasn't a great deal in the game. Whilst they had a lot of possession, they didn't really trouble us much until we were really pushing in the last kind of 10 minutes or so to try and get that equaliser. When you see the goals back, I think Brian got caught just underneath it. At first, when it was live, we kind of wondered how he managed to get in between the two big centre halves that we've got, because so far this season they've really dealt well with the aerial threat. So it was a bit disappointing to lose two headers. One of my bugbears in football, of which I have few, and I know you've got a few as well, guys, is set pieces and corners, having men in the posts. And Danny does tend to set up like that. And when you see the second goal back, I think it's Ray Grant who's on the front post. He kind of gets pulled away to pick somebody up, and that's exactly where the goal goes in. So had he not done that, he's on the post, he's able to clear that. So I know that that's something that Danny will be working a lot on, is the set pieces and being strong and hard to beat in the air. But it's, he'll be looking back at them, and as you see, that's we know where that threat comes from. So I know he'll be a bit disappointed in the manner of the goals that we lost, particularly after just getting ourselves back into the game with a terrific finish by Jordan again.
Yeah, boys, I'll come to yourself for the goal that got us level. I don't know how many times we've said this early in the season how devastatingly good we are in the counter-attack, and it was another prime example of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think looking at social media over the weekend after the game, Montrose fans obviously delighted with the win, but very disappointed in the way that they conceded their goal straight from one of their own corners. And yeah, I talk about Montrose's identity. Clyde have an identity this year, and it is that counter-attack team that presses. Mo Gomez, again, instrumental to it, plays the ball out to Jordan Allen, and he puts his man on the ground, I believe, cutting inside, and puts a lovely finish past the Montrose keeper, who we didn't test too much, which will be disappointing. There was a shot from Cunningham in the first half, and I know Ross will be disappointed with his maybe influence on the game. He didn't seem to get as involved as much as he has in early games. But listen, I came out, disappointed that we didn't win the game or take a point. But I think we played some nice stuff. It may be just one of those days at the office where those little touches that have been coming off in recent weeks just weren't falling for us. And I think we all caught up after the game. I think we were all kind of feeling the same after it. And I said to you, Paul, just after we equalised through Jordan Allen, we've got to keep this level for 5 minutes. And within a couple of minutes, it was 2-1.
Yeah, that's exactly my notes here. The next point I was going to bring up there, John, you turned to me right after the goal and said, keep this tight for the next 5 minutes, and we did not. I think it was only 3 minutes between the equaliser and what turned to be the winning goal by Kerr Waddle. I never actually picked up on the Ray Grant on the post issue that you mentioned, Dougie, but it does. There is a moment, I think, where you see when Neil Parry's going for the ball, he does get a touch on it that I never really appreciated, but I think he was perhaps expecting someone to be there. So yeah, and I know there was a lot of coming together, shall we call it, in the box. Montrose are highly well drilled for these things. They have men blocking the runners. Obviously, it's perfectly legitimate part of the game and for set plays. I just felt for the majority of the game, their physicality won them more ball than we've really been allowed in recent games. Montrose were, I think, other than Steve's, I think they were all 6 foot plus. They were a very, very big team, but that's not to say that they're not very good footballers at the same time, Dougie. They're very, very good.
Yeah, and as you said, you know what you're expecting with Montrose. I think, again, we talked about on Saturday, the core of their team has been there for a good number of years. And when it comes to the summer recruitment, it never tends to be a wholesale job like we end up with. They tend to just recruit well to strengthen what they've already got there. Whereas we've I don't know how many new squad players we've had this year, about 14 or 15, I think. And what's pleasing to see this year is that for the most part, they've started to bed in a lot quicker than we saw last season. I think the key takeaway from Montrose is that Boise is the kiss of death, because he predicted that McAllister was going to score about 5 minutes before he scored. and also said we had to keep it tight, and then bang, up the park they went and scored. So we need to figure something out with that.
Absolutely. Also went against my usual rule of not putting a little bet on Clyde to win. And do you know what I put them on at? 2-1 to Clyde. So I think I'll just stay away from that side of it now.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah. And just at this point, I would like to just say, please do gamble responsibly. Just to get that out there. So yeah, we could have even snatched a draw just to finish up, guys. Ball perhaps falling to the wrong man at the right moment. No offence to Peter Grant, but I think he would have pretty much preferred the ball dropping to Ollie McDonald or one of the kind of forward players. They long for those moments. The ball's dropping 8 yards out on the half volley, and he's leveled it. And well, we put the ball closer to my car, sadly, than the back of the net.
Yeah, no, definitely. With 10 minutes to go, you think, right, there's going to be one last big chance here. Will we take it? And it came, I think it was the 89th, 90th minute, something like that.
It was in the injury time, boys. I think it was the 92nd minute.
Yep.
To make it worse.
Yeah, just a heartbreaker. One of the moments that gets you up off your seat, and that's why we love football. But yeah, absolutely unmarked. Montrose will be disappointed with a mark in there, but yeah, Falston in the penalty spot, and unfortunately can't put it in. But we'll move on, and hopefully pick up some points to continue and get back to our good form to start the season against one of the poorest home form teams in the league, or the poorest home form team in the league in Edinburgh.
Yep, and we really shouldn't allow you to say stuff like that after what Dougie just said. And yeah, Peterhead hadn't scored a competitive goal ahead of our meeting earlier this season. Bagged twice, and same.
Said that on Saturday as well.
So yeah, I'm very much in the there's gag boise camp now.
Not just on this podcast either.
Just So yeah, no cause for panic, I think, has to be the message from the game. There was still enough positives there. It was far from the worst Clyde performance you'll see. Probably not the worst we'll play this season. Perhaps even pick up points. Things are still looking up. We've got a match on Saturday away to a team, as you mentioned, Boise, that have been struggling at home. But we'll cover that a wee bit later in the show. We have brought Dougie on for a reason. So let's talk that reason. Let's look at things off the field. Primarily looking at Dougie's role at the club. So can you just explain what your actual role is for those that don't know, Dougie, and what that entails and what that means for the wider fan base when your face is in front of them?
Absolutely, yes. So I've been volunteering with the club for the last couple of years now. Initially as a commercial sales executive, lining into commercial director, and then took on the role of commercial manager as well. And since Jim Thompson came in the summer, I've kind of moved over to be the commercial operations manager. So just dealing with the logistics of all the fun, exciting things that you see going on match days in terms of commercial output. As you alluded to at the start, I'm not quite sure about my new nickname. Not keen on that one catching on, but you'll see me on the club shop and our brilliant new fan zone on match days as well, and we'll be basically slotting in anywhere I'm needed on match days, whether that be at the front door to welcome our visiting guests or our supporters coming through the front door. As well as looking after our kind of hospitality guests on match days when that's back up and running. It's really enjoyable and exciting to have this new challenge moving across to Hamilton. There was a lot of kind of unknowns and a bit of anxiety about what we were going to face with that because it all happened so quickly. It was, I think, the Thursday night before the Airdrie game. It was just dropped on us that we were leaving our home to move to Hamilton. So it's been absolutely brilliant so far. The welcome that we've had from all of the folk at Hamilton has been absolutely amazing. And those of you who have been lucky enough to come to the first few games of the season and come to the fan zone, will hopefully attest to what a great atmosphere and just a brilliant facility we've got for people to sit and have a catch up with like-minded Clyde fans before the game kicks off.
And it must make, for yourself, life that wee bit easier. Any commercial role at Clyde, I think it's fair to say, it's not the easiest gig. It never has been. And who's to say, hopefully it does get easier. But yeah, it has its challenges, and it has over recent years. But having the facility such as the fan zone and the club shop, not being two separate rooms or buildings per se, having it as one, it must just make your life that bit easier come a match day, that you've got it all there. Guys are enjoying themselves, having a drink, talking. Oh, I can go buy myself a new away strip.
Yeah, and it's been brilliant to have that all in one place. I think one of the directors described it as the Crystal Maze. Trying to find the club shop when we were at Broadwood at times, because it was, down so many different corridors.
You just have to be outside waving at people.
Yeah, absolutely. One of those big sandwich boards on, telling people where to go. But as you say, it's to touch on your first point, I don't think it's just Clyde that are seeing it being difficult for commercial activities at the moment. Obviously, we're still coming out of the back of the pandemic. Really, that was probably a hard time to come on board with the club and try and be tasked with raising funds, given that so many companies were struggling to stay afloat, never mind want to put money into a football club.
Yeah.
And we're still seeing a little bit of that in terms of getting back up to speed with match sponsorship and that sort of thing. That a lot of businesses are still tightening their belt and cutting their cloth accordingly. So it's exciting that we're in a new pond, if you like it now, coming over to South Lanarkshire. So we've got a lot of new opportunities and a lot of new businesses to reach out to really illustrate and demonstrate some of the brilliant work that goes on at Clyde, both on the park and within our community foundation as well. So really looking forward to getting some more business on board with that and giving people a chance to come and experience a match day with us at New Douglas Park, to actually see the offering that we've got. Because the facilities are absolutely fantastic. As you both know, when you've been filming a podcast up there, you can actually watch the game from inside and see the entire pitch from behind the glass there. Touching on your point about the club shop, it's brilliant to have it in one place with all the supporters actually coming in, and they can see what we've got on offer as they're coming in for their £3 pint. Or their chicken curry and their burgers that went down a treat at the last game. And I think that was shown by the fact that we had record sales from the very first game of the season. And a shout out to Jack, who stepped up, and that was his first game working in the shop. So it's brilliant to see people volunteering and wanting to be part of that on match days as well. And I know that Gordon touched on that with the podcast he did a few weeks ago. That we're always welcome, looking to welcome volunteers and people looking to come on board and help out the club.
Yeah, and certainly in the commercial space, I would imagine that the more the merrier, to assist in what is a very difficult task. As you say, COVID's over. Well, not over per se, but we're coming out of the kind of woods on that front, so to speak. But you do have certain other issues in the world financially. Don't need to say it, everyone knows what I'm talking about here. So there's still this backdrop of getting people to part with money is difficult, but it must be really reassuring from what the fans are putting into the club again. When Clyde fans are asked to step up, they do. They step up with their money and support the club financially, and it's fantastic that they do that, but it does become almost second nature to them. But to get record sales on our opening day of the season is testament to what Clyde fans can do and to the work that's still being done in the commercial space.
Without a doubt, exactly what you say there. It's really amazing at times and quite humbling to see how much support we're still getting when there's such a big cost of living crisis, particularly with us moving home in the middle of that as well. We're asking people to, it's only 20 minutes down the road, but when you've got perhaps travelling by public transport, etc., it's a lot of extra expense for people. So to see such a good uptake to the Bully Refund to start off with our club ownership as well. Again, on your previous podcast, Gordon was talking about our season ticket sales actually exceeding where we were last season. And things like our player sponsorship. The Glasgow branch have been absolutely incredible with their support of that so far this season. And I think to date we've only got about a dozen player sponsorships left to go. So keep an eye out for the socials over the next few weeks, because I know we're going to be celebrating and thanking our supporters who have taken the time to back that. And obviously I know you guys are doing that as well with your 12th man, which is brilliant to see. But yeah, it's excellent to see the support that we've had so far from all walks of life of our support, people who are local, people who are overseas or exiles. So yeah, it's great to see the support that we're getting at, and long may that continue.
Dougie, you would honestly think we had rehearsed this, because I was just setting up the 12th man and then you've just seamlessly led me into it. So yeah, we'll do our 12th man shout out this week, because I was going to touch upon the shirt sponsorship, but you've very kindly ticked that off for me. So this week we would like to give a shout out to Ian Robertson and the Clyde FC Foundation for sponsoring last week's goal scorer Jordan Allen's home and away shirts for this season. Thank you to both for your continued support. It is very, very much appreciated. So, have you got any other links to throw me in, Dougie, before I move about my notes here?
Yeah, so it would be remiss of me not to have a shameless plug of our match day hospitality.
Yeah.
So the first game we've got for that is Dunfermline on the 10th of September. And then we've got Queen of the South on the 22nd of October being the next game. The offering we've got for that is fantastic value, if you ask me. We're £79 for your hospitality, and again, I know that we've just touched on there is a cost of living crisis. £79 is a lot of money, but considering the value that we're getting for that, you get a 3-course meal, your refreshments at half time, as well as your complimentary bar included as part of that as well. And season ticket holders get £10 off that as well. So you would be getting that for £69 for your hospitality. So we would really love to see a good turnout of that for our very first match for hospitality against Dunfermline. And all the links will be going out shortly on the socials for that if anybody's looking to sign up.
Yeah, I have to say as well, when me and Paul were setting up for the podcast, we met a couple of the people who deal with the hospitality at Hamilton, the staff, and they are outrageously talented. They absolutely put on a day for everyone, and it really enhances that product so much. And as Dougie said, I'll be partaking in hospitality at some point, Dougie, so I will be in touch. But the suites are incredible. I would just encourage everyone to get along. I do have a question for you, Dougie, as well. So we touched on that the club shops made record sales on the opening day of the season. And you would think of the club shop as, your usual replica strips and a couple of other bits and bobs. But over the years, the eagle-eyed ones of you might notice that we've had a lot more extra items that are of really good quality. Would you be able to just talk us through how these kind of items are identified and how they're kind of looked at alongside the fan base as well?
Sure. So those of you who might have seen an email come out probably about a year and a half ago when we were still at Broadwood, we did a mailing to the owners to complete a survey on what sort of memorabilia and merchandise they would like to see in their club shop. And based on the feedback we got from that and the budget that we had available, we essentially just went from there. So those of you who've been at the games recently, you'll see that we've got quite a selection of golf merchandise. So we've got our golf towels, our golf sets and our golf umbrellas, which don't necessarily need to be for golfers.
This is Scotland after all.
Exactly. We've got some notepads and pens for those going back to school.
For our
there we go.
Non-audio listeners, I am holding this.
Okay, you've done that before. That's square on.
And we didn't even rehearse that. That's a genuine surprise that you had that to hand there. So well done, mate. We also had a fantastic offering last season of the club branded whiskey. So that was one of the first deals that myself and Leanne, who's part of the commercial team, had managed to broker, and that involved having Glen's vodka on the read of our strip last season, and we managed to get our Clyde branded whiskey, which I know quite a few people have managed to snap up and sample. We also managed to broker an excellent deal with Glencairn Glass as well, to provide some of the gift sets and glassware with that, which we thought was something really different. It was completely unlike anything that we'd done as a commercial offering before, and the feedback on that was really, really popular. I believe we're only down to, I think, 2 or 3 of the gift sets left for sale, and probably about a dozen bottles of whiskey. So if you're looking for a Christmas present in the coming months, there's again a shameless plug for you to go in and snap up on them.
Or for a birthday present, because it is Mr. Boyce's birthday coming up in just a matter of days. So happy birthday, John, when it does come.
Oh, thanks, mate.
Is that you keeping a wee bit more into the 30s now?
Nah, let's not talk about
it. You're still a long way to catch up on me.
You've probably also seen on the website today promoting our new leisure wear. So our new range with RGM, and we're hopeful of getting some different sizes of some of the items in the shop on match days for people to try on. We obviously won't be able to keep a stock of 5 of every size of every item in our club shop. That's why we've got our club partners as RGM there, but we will look to have a range of sizes and some different items to let people try items on, so they know what sort of size they're looking for and get their orders in.
So you do take requests or feedback on items to be made available for purchase?
Absolutely, yeah. And we've had quite a few of them already.
So you may have noticed or seen at the Kelty match, Clyde fan Stuart Parker was wearing this absolute beaut of a shirt. Now, for our audio-only listeners, you should be able to catch this on the Clyde Twitter feed if you scroll back a wee bit. It's
tropical. It's tropical.
Tropical, yes. Parrots, floral with Clyde badges mixed in there. What do you think?
Dare I say Costa del Clyde?
Costa del Clyde, indeed.
I mean, it's certainly eye-catching. I did tell Leanne I was going to get one of them for my upcoming holiday to Turkey, and I won't be able to repeat the response I got, considering we're on air at the moment. But yeah, very, very brave and bold fashion choice, and I think he got a lot of compliments on the day from it. And became Twitter famous as well for a weekend.
A maybe then for the club shop, just a maybe. I won't make you commit.
Yeah, no comment. I think there'll probably be some licensing issues with that as well in terms of using the club logo. So, but we'll not go there just now.
Yeah, on before we get Stuart arrested. Okay, so listen to you. It's great to hear real positive kind of actions going on with the commercial side. Obviously, if people do have any kind of questions on the commercial side, can they just reach out by email direct to the club?
Absolutely. So commercial@clydefc.co.uk with any ideas, suggestions, anybody looking to get involved, help out, any links. I know there's a lot of people with their own businesses out there as well, so even if it's just coming along to enjoy a match sponsorship or a match ball sponsorship, there's loads of excellent opportunities available. So yeah, just reach out and get in touch.
You will not be turned away. Okay, so John, we'll get your vocal cords working again here. Let's look at on-field matters then. We'll do a quick preview of the match in the new Meadowbank Stadium for FC Edinburgh. It's been a busy summer for them as a club as well. In the transfer market, they have been very busy. It's been 3 years now. 2019, it was the semi-final, 3-0 game at Broadwood. Yep. The last meeting between the two clubs. Obviously, they've just been promoted to League One this year, or last summer, I should say. What can we expect from the capital side?
Yeah, so I think the first thing we'll notice is a name change. So FC Edinburgh this season. not.
That's why you're getting called the Capital Club for the remainder of this show.
Aye, absolutely. But no, they look to have kept their identity as well. They've still got players like Danny Galbraith, who's AC. They like to play attractive football. That home form just hasn't been there for them this season, but they have had 2 very impressive away victories so far this season. So, yep, they're up there in mid-table. On other players to watch out for, Clyde fans will know Kieran McDonald, who used to play for us. He plays at left back for the Capital Club. And then Jordan Fontaine at the back as well, who's played at the very highest level. And Liam Fontaine, who's played at the highest level in Scotland. So yeah, they've got the players to cause us problems. And I guess the biggest thing recently that fans have been talking about is the new Meadowbank Stadium. So that'll be an interesting one to see as well. Got a lovely stand. Tickets for the game on Saturday are priced at £18. You can get them from the Edinburgh website. But I think we should be going there on the field and looking to get all 3 points and get back, because one thing I was going to say about Montrose, a positive, in previous seasons we've maybe reverted to, that old Clyde will take on the other opposition's kind of play if they're playing the ball up top and playing high balls. And we didn't do that on Saturday. We tried to keep our game going and played nice passes. We did end up putting Eric Sula up front for the last 5 minutes, which didn't work out, unfortunately. But no, I think if we play our game, we'll be able to see a nice, attractive game of football against FC Edinburgh, and yeah, hopefully come away with something.
Yeah, Dougie, for yourself, is it just about getting back to what we do best, play our football, and that should be enough to see a positive result?
Yeah, I would say so. I'm not sure what surface they've got there now that they've rebuilt.
It's 3G, 4G.
So it's a pitch we'll be comfortable on. My abiding memories of the, I think, 2 games we played there before they relocated to Ainsley was that they were really kind of stodgy,
heavy,
not very entertaining affairs. It's quite a difficult pitch and stadium to play in because obviously the support are so far away as well. And what we've seen in the away games so far this season, that the support we've got does act as that 12th man at times. Particularly, Queen of South was amazing. It's probably one of the best away days we've seen for many a year, probably under Danny's stewardship. So it's just got to be stick to our game. The way we've set up and we've started to play has been really, really exciting to see. We've completely changed our tactic this season. We've in previous years we had one tactic, and that was David. Give the ball to him and let him work his magic. So it's been exciting to see Danny build a completely new, different style and ethos this season. I know there was a lot of eyebrows raised at some of the young guys that were coming in from the Lowland League, and they've really hit the ground running, as we've seen with Ewan and with Ollie. So it's just going to be about getting back to our game, not losing trust in what Danny's trying to do. As we said, there wasn't a great deal in the game last week, and I think if we just stick to our game, we should get back to winning ways.
So would you go with the same starting lineup then as Montrose, or would you throw in maybe a Liam Scullion?
I think it depends on what availability Danny's got. He's had quite a few injuries. There's probably a few guys that have been on the sidelines in the last few weeks that you would say would be first names on the team sheet. I would have Barry in that midfield, along with Ian and Mo, who I think are brilliant in the midfield. I know there was a lot of debate about that in the early weeks of the podcast, and somebody's probably going to gloat about that for the rest of the season. But Mo's been terrific going forward. He's shown a side of his game that we just really didn't see last season. He's been really, really adventurous, and I think you touched on last week, boys, getting in his assists as well. So he's putting himself in really good positions. Fantastic engine, as we saw. I think it was the third goal against Kelty. The pace he had to try and keep up with Ross before he buried it. I think he'd have been a bit upset if that hadn't hit the back of the net. But yeah, if Barry's fit, I would love to see him back in. I don't know how far away Connor is from getting back to match fitness as well. He's been a big loss after such a really impressive performance down in Dumfries. So other than that, I don't think you would want to see too many changes to the starting 11.
But the very fact that we have real strength in depth from the bench is a big positive this season. We're throwing on these guys at 60, 70 minutes after the guys have ran themselves ragged, and these guys are just coming on and taking over the mantle. Didn't quite work for us last week, but we've got the real potential to blow teams away just from being fitter and faster than them, as well as being pretty talented in areas that it matter too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Liam Scullion, Ollie McDonald, they've proven that when they've come on, especially Liam Scullion's assist or part assist for the second goal against Kelty. That boy has an absolute ton of pace, and I think there's a lot of Clyde fans wanting to see him start and understand that. But I think potentially he's better maybe used as a sub to come on, as you say, Paul, in that maybe last half hour, 35 minutes to really have a go at those tiring opposition players.
So yeah, boys, you've already kind of covered off the kind of final notes. I'm wary of time, and I will let you guys go. £18 for adults. I think it's a £5 for under 16s. It is seating tickets only, I believe, at present. I'm not sure if once or if they do sell out, it will be standing. So if you do want the kind of best view, it would be encouraged to get your ticket ASAP to ensure you are in the stand along the main side of the pitch. I think that's it, gents. I've just got one wee final word of thanks, and that, of course, goes to our sponsor, Tony Flynn Mortgages, Scotland's soundest broker. And a reminder that if you do quote Clyde FC podcast at a first consultation with Tony, the Clyde FC Community Foundation will receive £100. So please visit www.tfmortgages.co.uk for more information on how Tony can assist you on your home ownership journey. There you go, Dougie. Is that enough for you to join your commercial team?
Yeah. Maybe a bit more work, mate. But we'll get there. We'll get there. But, as you say, it's brilliant to have Tony on board. So he was really excited to come on board with the podcast. Tony's obviously sponsoring our away shorts as well this season, as you might have seen, and has taken on sponsorship of a couple of our players as well. So he does fantastic work with a lot of different community opportunities. And when we moved to Hamilton, now a local club for him, he was really keen and excited to get on board and help both the club and the foundation. So certainly from the commercial team, we're delighted that he's on board, and hopefully it's a long and prosperous partnership that he's got with both ourselves and the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Long may it continue, and a massive thank you again, Tony. So we will be back next Saturday for your match day live to start up your big match build-up. Dougie, thank you very much for your time. It is very much appreciated. John, as always, I know I'm on, but I do love your voice. I do love it. And until then, come on the Bully Wee.
On the Clyde.